Welcome to the Wellness for Women show, where we talk about life, weight loss and everything in between. I'm Faye Caseman, founder of the AAA Way Life and Weight Loss Programme, and I'm here to help you put together the pieces of life and weight loss for one last time. This is an episode of the Wellness for Women show, filmed live in the free Facebook group. Welcome to episode number 69. 69, dudes, of the Wellness for Women show. And as it was episode number 69, I couldn't resist having a little treat for you today. I couldn't resist the whole joke around number 69. So if you're uncomfortable with a little sex talk, this may not be the episode for you. Or maybe it is, because maybe my guest could help. They call her the sexy, sultry siren. Obviously, she is a sex and intimacy coach who guides and empowers individuals and couples on their journeys of self-discovery and sexual liberation in a safe and judgment-free space where you can openly explore your deepest fantasies, fears, and curiosities. Now, doesn't that sound all very, very exciting? So let's welcome Tiffany Keeping.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi. Yeah, no worries at all. No worries. Like I say, when this came up and I was thinking, oh, shall I write some content myself? Because obviously I'm a life coach. So in theory, I could do any topic. And I was like, no, I'm going to get an expert in. And I was thinking, I know what you do. So I'll call you in to join the show. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And I think we're going to have a little bit of fun tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a different one. So if you can't tell, obviously anybody who knows me and has been watching the show will know that I'm in the UK. Tiffany is from Canada. So again, we've managed to negotiate the time zone issues and all that kind of thing, and we made it. And so we're all very proud of ourselves for that fact, if nothing alone. So tell the listeners and viewers, Tiffany, a little bit about you. What is it that you? Obviously, I tried to give you the big up there, but tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I'm a sex and intimacy coach. I also have a bookkeeping business. I'm a mom of two and married to my wonderful, fabulous, supportive husband who's at work at the moment, who right before the show actually sent me a text just telling me, he's like, good luck today. I love you. I'm like, I know. I was like, aw. It's, it's really nice. This summer we will have been married for 19 years. So it's nice still getting those texts every once in a while. Like, because let's be honest, 20 some odd years in, sometimes that stuff kind of just.
Yeah, absolutely. Things can naturally fizzle, isn't it? And like say after 19 years, certainly there can be quite a bit of difference to a relationship in comparison to the start. For sure.
Yeah, because you tend to just, I guess, kind of rely on each other more. Like you're just always there.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like other relationships. It's just like they've been there for 20 years. Like.
Yeah, part of the furniture.
Exactly. Just as you are, where everyone's part of the furniture. And I have a dog and a couple of cats who my dog currently is sitting underneath my desk, laying on my feet.
That's good. So Tiffany did forewarn that if there is a dog bark, don't be surprised. And I said anything goes. It's very informal, coming on and just having a chat about what it is that we do and just generally shooting the breeze. So
yeah, I'm really interested in helping individuals and couples just really kind of reignite that passion, that sensuality, that sexuality within themselves, because in doing that within themselves will also then obviously allow that to even blossom further as a couple. Because I think and I'm assuming as a fitness expert and weight loss expert, it's the same. Everything starts in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
For all of it. And so I really want to help couples kind of just re-engage in intimacy in a relationship, not just the sexual aspect, but also the personal intimacy, the emotional, the financial, all of those things that play a part in what ends up going on in the bedroom, or conversely not.
Yeah.
And yeah, just creating a really safe space, because I think a lot of times people are curious about trying things and then they're not sure how people will react. And, and it just, it's 2023. It's time. It's time. And especially as women, it's time for us too. Like, this is the time where we can finally explore judgment free without any of the shaming stuff that just is happening. Like, I'm not here for any of that stuff. It's not happening.
It's just
My
not
watch, anyways.
Yeah.
Not on my watch.
Not on your watch.
No.
It's interesting actually that you say that, like 2023, and I think, you know, there is a lot more openness nowadays than there used to be, and you can see the difference in the generations as we're developing, you know, in terms of sexuality and everything like that. And even, you know, obviously I'm 21, haha. You know, when I was a teen 10 years ago, but again, it wasn't the done thing. You know, it was still, sex was still a very taboo subject when I was growing up. You know, my mum and dad aren't prudish or anything like that. You know, there's nothing like that. But sort of that generational, you see, when we're working on weight loss, and I'm also training to be a belief coding facilitator, which works more on your subconscious and your beliefs. And so we learn quite a bit about generational trauma. And so although, you know, that will come through in sex and intimacy as well, isn't it? Because, as you say, you know, weren't allowed to express our sexualities as women, and again, yeah, and explore, you know, anything like that, talk about it, you know, show ourselves, etc., whatever it might be. So
absolutely. Yeah, it makes me, every time I see like a TikTok and stuff where you see relationship coaches, and there's a lot of them out there, I'm not even going to genderfy it now, but who are like, well, women and their body counts, and here, and you should be intimate with your partner 2 to 3 times a week, otherwise you should dump them. And I'm like, what are we saying? So essentially, we're now quantifying relationships based on completely on sexual intimacy and not anything else to do with a relationship.
Yeah,
we're qualifying a person based on how many people they've had sexual interaction with. Seriously, like,
or how many times per week, by the sounds of that, isn't it?
And how many times per week if you're in a relationship with them. And I'm like, what? Really? Like, no, this is not okay. Like, if you're in a couple, you should have sex as often as both people want to. It should always be enthusiastically consensual. There is nothing about like, oh, it's been forever, I'm just gonna do it. Well, who wants to do that? That's the thing we do when we look at the dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
exactly,
really,
yeah.
like, I look at this and I'm like, is that what your partner's gonna want when they're trying to have fun with you? Is you feeling and looking like you're about to go do the dishes even though you really don't want to because you're tired? Like,
yeah,
no one wants that. I'm like, it makes me so sad that we're seeing some of those old shame circles that I think both me and you grew up as women showing up again.
Yeah,
That,
absolutely.
purity and virginity are the most important things. And I'm like,
not in for the purity of the virginity. But it's one of those things where it's also, like I say, it's each to their own, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And this is the most important thing for me, I think, and one of the things that I certainly teach from the weight loss side of it is that, you know, anytime somebody's shoulding on you anywhere, you know, if somebody's saying you should be doing it 2 times a week, 3 times a week, otherwise your relationship's this or your relationship's that, it's just putting pressure on the situation, isn't it? And then if you feel pressure, your thoughts, you're going to get thought spirals going on, negativity, and you know, you, as soon as you feel that pressure, you're losing that intimacy, and you're going more, like you say, into people having to do things as chores. And it's so important for people to find their own unique way, really, in intimacy.
Well, it's the same with the shame spiral that happens in a weight loss world. Everybody gets these meal plans, and we all have great intentions of following the meal plans and the workouts, but nobody bothers to look at what you're currently eating and be like, okay, so how can we navigate what you currently enjoy? Because let's be honest, we all have like the same 10 things that we love that we rotate every week or other week, right? Like if you love tacos, tacos show up on your menu every week.
Yeah.
In some version or form, right? So instead of telling you, you can't have tacos, like just no. Can we change the narrative so you can have tacos, but let's see if we can change it so that you can eat a healthier version of the taco. Can we sub out some of these things or add some of these things to make this something that's more nutritious for your body, but you're still enjoying the thing you love?
Mm-hmm.
And the same goes with any relationship and with intimacy and sex, is that you and your partner need to navigate what works for both of you. And most importantly, talk to each other. If you're not feeling into being intimate and stuff, then you know what? There's the first thing you have to do is kind of go inside you and see what's going on with you and why. Is it that we need to go see a doctor because there's something behind the scenes that actually needs to get checked out, treated? Or is there something going on for you personally, work, stress, too much stuff going on in the house, financial problems, something like that that's causing stress? Or is there something that's going on within a relationship you and your partner are not seeing eye to eye on, or things just aren't working for you? And if so, then it's time to have a conversation with them and say, hey, you know what, this thing is really bothering me. And it's upsetting me so much that I don't feel like I want to be close with you right now. Can we talk about it? Can we work through this? And you know what? If you need support and help, that's what I'm here for. There's other professionals who can help if that's something you feel more comfortable with, is going to see a counselor, depending on how deep the issue is. But it's one of those things. You have to go inside first, journal about it, think about it, meditate, whatever works for you. I love to pick up a heavy set of weights because that's where I get out a lot of that frustration by the end. I'm so tired that I'm like, what? Okay, it's time to lay down and just meditate. I have to get the monkey brain gone, and the only way to do it is to force it out. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like I want couples to interact and to treat their partner as I hate to say it, as they would want to be treated, because you know what, you mirroring or modeling for your partner what you love, and then explaining to them what you love about being treated that way, or why you love treating your partner that way. You know what, it's normal for us to get triggered. That little child, that inner child, gets triggered in things. But I think the part we fail to do a lot of times in relationships is tell our partners when we get really upset why we're really upset.
Like, yeah, or struggle to communicate it, I guess, isn't it, in a healthy way? And that then and again, it's like you said, though, it's about being able to communicate with yourself in a healthy way first. Usually, it might be an overused saying, but again, you've got to put your own life jacket on first. And it's kind of the same for weight loss, same for, like, say, sexual intimacy, and about knowing yourself and, like I say, knowing your own triggers. Really, I think sometimes when we talk about relationships, I think there is a lot of button pushing that can go on, and not necessarily in the sexy sense, but
if you're pushing those buttons, you're not getting the other buttons pushed. We'll put it that way.
Pushing the wrong buttons, dude.
We just had a Homer Simpson moment. Hey, should I press that button? Should I? No.
Yeah.
But
it's navigating all through that, isn't it, as well? Like you say, the communication as a whole, looking at, like, say, what goes on. No doubt, I'm sure you spend time looking at what goes on. It's like, say, it's not just about what's in the bedroom, is it? And it's like the same with food. It's not just about what happens with eating. Weight loss is far more than just food and movement. But yeah, you'll see a lot of people just say, just eat less and move more. Yeah, if that worked, that's not what it's about. It's about how life and weight loss go together. And no doubt it's the same for you. It's about how the whole holistic package of that person and then that relationship. So you're kind of adding in all these dynamics.
Yep. Because it's exactly what it is. Wouldn't it be easy if we just gave a prescription for everything? Oh, you just have to eat this and move this much.
Yeah.
You just need to have sex 2 or 3 times a week and your relationship will be fine.
Yeah.
No, but like I know there are people out there that those are the prescriptions, but I'm like, you're just giving them a band-aid to put over top of the and guess what? Every time you rip that band-aid off, because you're gonna,
Mhm.
the scab
Yeah.
gets bigger and bigger and it bleeds more and more. And I'm like, it doesn't resolve the underlying issue about why that sore is there to begin with.
Yes. Yeah.
And so yeah, I encourage couples, especially if there's an argument, like there are relationship coaches out there who say you should never argue with your partner, and I'm like,
Mhm. You can't help it
I'm
sometimes.
like, are we all perfect people? Like I can't, I haven't lived with my sister for 20 some odd years now, but I'm like, there is still the odd time me and her will still disagree, even as adults. And I'm like, that's like, you can have disagreements with your friends. This is not, we are human beings, and an argument rarely has anything to do with the thing you're talking about, but something
Mm.
deeper underneath. And so what I try and encourage couples to do, take a moment to separate for a minute and, go take a moment, especially the person who's really, because in most arguments, there's one person who's really obviously tends to be a little bit more emotionally heated.
Mhm.
Um, and take a moment to just, I hate to use the word meditation because some people like the word, some people like loathe it, and they're like, oh my God, somebody's telling me to meditate again. But really go in and go in and see like what is going on underneath. Why is that behavior, that statement the person said, the thing they're not doing, whatever the case may be, frustrating you, hurting you, making you so angry that you're willing to start a huge argument
Yeah.
over it?
Yeah.
Because people have started huge arguments over dishes in a sink. Well, is
Mm.
it really the dishes in the sink?
It's
I'd say
making me, it's making me think of the breakup, with Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn, where she's like, "It's not about the lemons."
because it's really not. In the
Yeah.
grand scheme of things, the lemon's just like the straw that broke the camel's back. It's
Yeah.
that last thing that went on the pile, and you're like, I can't handle anymore. Because it really isn't. It's not the dishes in the sink or the lemons or any of those things. It's something underneath, and a lot of the times it tends to sometimes stem back to even childhood
Mhm.
interactions with friends, interactions with parents, any of those things,
Mhm.
and that as a child, your needs weren't met in a situation, and
Mhm.
so communicating that to your partners is important. Your partner doesn't want to intentionally hurt you, because that's not why they left the dishes in the sink. It was to piss you off.
Mhm.
I'd say 99% of the time. That's not why they did. There's always the 1%, but it's going in and saying to your partner, like, hey, you know what? When you do that, this is I had this going on when I was a teen, and you know what? It I felt unsupported or hurt or abused or ignored by my parents or my friends or whatever the thing was that triggered it. And because of that, when you do this, this is how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Can we talk about a way that we can work through this so that I can feel
Mhm.
loved, supported, cared for, whatever the thing I needed was.
Mhm.
Because all of those underlying little things stacking on top of each other tends to be where intimacy and sex challenges kind
Yeah.
of start eroding and happening, because it's all those little things, the dishes, the lemons, for
I
not
have
fueling up
terrible
the car.
earworms or film worms, whatever it is. I don't know what the equivalent would be, but like when you hear a song and you can't help but sing it, and I have that, and then I also have film reference issues as
Yeah,
well. Like,
no, it's okay. It's
brings
the
a
not
film
filling
or
up
a
the car,
song.
which for any
Yeah.
any of the women out there who are listening whose husbands harp on them for the not washing the car, the not cleaning the car, for the not filling up the car when it's supposed to be filled up at a certain, I don't know. My husband always does it. He's like, it's at a quarter of a tank when you fill it up. I'm like, because it's not on empty yet. He's like, you're not supposed to do that. It'll wreck the car. I'm like,
And that's the belief, really, isn't it? You know, that somebody's instilled a belief that if you go below a quarter of a tank, you'll wreck the car. I'm not an engineer. It may well be true, but
you know what? Next time I take my car in, I'm going to ask the
yeah.
front desk person, because she will have asked, because I guarantee I won't be the first person who's ever asked. She will probably have asked the mechanics, and the mechanics will say, oh, for fuck's sake, not this again. Not this chestnut. Why is this
the marital this week?
Yeah, why this one again? Did somebody post something on social media? Right?
Just perhaps one of those urban myths.
Yes.
Just to
And
create
there's so
marital
many of
disharmony.
them. And the urban myth that, you know, there's so many of them, even just in intimacy and relationships. And I think when you're consuming a lot of content from social media, you're seeing a lot more of these things, like men need to be validated by having sex with them or touching them. I is that really the case? I don't think that's the case for all men. That might be the case for some men, but it's one of those things. I'm like, instead of listening to Joe Blow or Jane Doe on the internet, talk to your partner. How did they feel? What do they need? Because
and how does that work for you, isn't it? Like you say, it's not this is the thing, everybody's unique, you know, like you're saying, you've got all those different life circumstances that made us all unique in exactly where we are right now. And if you're just trying to give one solution to everything, this is why it doesn't work. And again, it always fascinates me that no matter what topic I end up talking about, it's like, that's just like weight loss. But it is, because I think it's just how it works, isn't it? You know, it's how we work. It's how we work as humans, which is why I wrote over here somewhere, it's all backwards, coach, podcaster, and human, because it's that human element to all of us that is what we've got to tap into, isn't it? You know, the human that just wants to be loved and respected and adored, or whatever it might be, in intimacy. And again, that then can knock into our food as well. And food could obviously knock into the intimacy as well. So, you know, if
the body parts aren't working properly, it causes challenges.
Yeah.
So, but, or you know what, if you're feeling exhausted because the food you're eating isn't fueling your body properly, that's going to play into it. Like, the nutrition plays into so many aspects of life, including your sex, your ability to even just be personally, emotionally intimate with somebody. Because if you're exhausted all the time, you don't have the energy to give to that person.
Yeah. And again, there's so much in that, in terms of the physical, the emotional, the environmental, all sorts of things come into that, isn't it? So again, it's not just about the people, it's sort of the life circumstances as well, and where they're at. And
and kind of digging in, okay, so what's going on in your world right now? And just starting there, right? Because and you know what, it's even in the world of sex itself, that's one of those things. People are like, well, they assume somebody likes to be touched this way, or likes to be kissed this way, or likes to, I'm like, because the last person liked it that way doesn't mean the current person likes it that way. Check with your partner. Ask them, do they like this? What do they like? What have previous people done that they liked? Are you willing to try it? What aren't you willing to try? What would you like to try? I know these seem like uncomfortable conversations, but I'm like, you need to, and that's why I said, I think it still stems back to, you need to figure out what you like yourself before you feel comfortable asking somebody what pleasures them, be it emotionally, physically, sexually. What some people really love just being hugged. Some people hate being hugged.
I say, know which one that is, isn't it? And know yourself. And then, like I said, the communication side of that, isn't it? You know, feeling comfortable, and if you're feeling resistant to communicating that with your partner, exploring that resistance even, isn't it?
Yeah. And why do you not feel comfortable sharing that part of yourself, and kind of digging in with a coach, with a therapist, with somebody who can help you even dig in. Well, why is this feeling so uncomfortable for you? Why are you feeling afraid to tell this person? unhappy to tell this person, angry, whatever feeling or emotions coming up, what is going on in here that we aren't able to communicate with our partners what makes us feel good. Right?
Yeah.
Or why can't we hear what makes them feel good?
Yeah, and that's the thing. If it's not bringing you joy, and not necessarily just in the sexual pleasure sense, but just in, like you say, the person, like you said earlier, that's actually sat there thinking that it's the equivalent of doing the dishes or something, then that's not joyful. It's not a pleasure, and we go towards pleasure and move away from pain typically, don't we, as humans? Not necessarily always, but again, and but it's
pain and pleasure
a whole different category of podcast that we were really going
we can
to,
do that. We will definitely do that podcast later, because those are opposite sides of the same coin for some people. But that being said, that's still something that you should be, you have to, at that point, if that's something that you're interested in, you have to be able to communicate with your partner. And that trust needs to be there 100%. There is no room for error, especially if you're getting into any sort of styles of kink. You have to be solid. You have to trust that person with literally your whole body and yourself and your emotional self too, because just like doing a really intense workout can really actually like put you in a highly emotional state, so too can being in a really intense sexual experience. We've all gone and ran on the treadmill and had that like nice glidey feeling after. I know. You can get that from a good shavasana and yoga too, if you know how to do it right.
Cool, just saying, as a yoga instructor as well, aren't you?
Yep. I've had people say that. Like,
about yoga.
Yeah, I've had people say that they've done a really good shavasana with me, and as they're leaving, you can see that like that almost mental floaty feeling, and it's one of those things. Like, you don't want to leave somebody in that state without any support or care. Like, obviously, if you teach yoga, I can't keep my students locked up forever. I have to let them leave the world. But your partner, you should be there to talk about, what do you need? What do you need to make you feel supported, to make you feel cared for, to make you feel loved, to make you feel nourished and nurtured? And that goes for both people in a relationship.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's especially important, I think, when we're really delving into the world of sex and anything that kind of goes, actually just in general, doesn't matter what type of sex, because that kind of care and nurture should be there no matter what.
Yeah.
Every human needs that.
And like you say, caring and nurturing, like say, you yourself, your mind, body and soul yourself, so that you know yourself as best as you can be, and then know your partner as well as you can be, and everything like that. So yeah, it all makes perfect sense. So do you tend to work more with individuals or the couples, or a fair mix of both?
I tend to work more with individuals, but I work with both. I haven't decided whether I want to specialize in one or the other, because I'm like, the thing is that sex and intimacy are not exclusive to any gender or any type of couple specifically either. And so it's really one of those neat industries where you can work with everybody, because it's not exclusive. It's same with fitness and nutrition, right?
Yeah.
Women,
it just depends on what you're perhaps wanting to perhaps whether you've got, like say, as a coach, whether you had an interest in like the relationship side especially of it, or whether you're interested more in, like you say, the sort of the your own the exploration of like mind, body, soul and the individual and that, isn't it? Yeah.
And currently I tend to see a lot more women show up into my world, because I'm finding women are they're opening up more to exploring themselves and different fantasies, and taking those fantasies and making them reality, and learning how to do them in a safe way that feels good to them and to their partner, or even just to them. It can just be And it could be partners. I shouldn't just say partner. It could be partners.
Yeah.
but really, in the grand scheme of things, life should be about pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's about bringing it's let's say giving people that safe space to build their confidence?
Exactly, because it's why I as I was designing that little guide that I have created that Faye will share with you guys later. I was trying to think of a way. When I created it, I wanted it to be accessible and available to all genders, and it to be something that felt comfortable for people to just kind of wade into the water
Mm-hmm.
of possibilities of things they could try and fantasies they create for themselves, for their partner. And because I think people want to explore themselves. They're unsure how.
Mm-hmm.
They're not sure how to be safe. They're scared maybe their partner will reject the fantasies they want to explore. There's so many things to kind of unpack there. And I'm like, here's a way that will feel really easy and safe and you can try. And I had designed it with a bunch of different types of things, be it sensory play, be it be it bondage, be it like and I am talking about a silk scarf, so everybody don't panic. Don't panic yet. But hey, each of us enjoy different things. And you know what? I tell people, like, if it's something that's really viscerally you have a strong no about,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that is a no. You're not going there. No one's going there. If it's something where you're like, yeah, I want to do it, go have fun. If it's something where you're like, I want to try it, then you know what, try it. And you know what, try both sides of the coin. You being a receiver, and then also the other side of the coin where you're the one who's the giver, because you might not enjoy being blindfolded, but
Mm-hmm.
your partner might.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things, like as long as it's when you're delving into those types of things, having a rock solid communication channel and trust are like, they are everything.
Mm.
They're everything. You have to be able to feel comfortable to say no, to say stop.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're into safe words, doing that as well. And you have to know that your partner will respect that no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
110% of the time.
Yeah, like you say, trust being the key thing. And then it might even be that you need to do quite a bit of work, like say with a couple or an individual, no doubt, to get them to the point where they can trust again, depending on what their past has been as well.
Exactly. And as a sexual assault survivor, like I can definitely empathize with how that can make you feel, and some of the fears that can awaken with that. And there may be times that I will have a client who they will share that with me, and I will send them to a professional to have some conversations and to actually get some professional help to heal that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it that type of trauma and injury can go so deep, and funny enough can bleed into so many parts of your life, including, as you well know, food and weight gain or loss, weight control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if we want to say the words of eating disorders, or it can be triggered by that. And so and then there's also the side that if that has happened to you, some people don't share it with their partner. They're too afraid to even share that with your partner. And it's one of those things, hopefully at some point with the right professional help, be it for me or with somebody who's actually professionally a psychologist, depending on the situation, or they can be supported to feel comfortable enough to finally speak their truth to their partner, so their partner can understand where they're coming from and why. Because it can definitely be one of those things that can bring challenges into so many aspects, not even just in the bedroom, but so many aspects of a relationship with someone else as well as with yourself.
Yeah. And
So
also trust, whether it be something like they've been cheated on in past relationships as well, isn't it? Or
yeah.
something like that probably comes up a lot as well. And
Mm-hmm.
again, that once that trust has gone, it's tarnished, isn't it? And it's that thing again. It all comes down to the beliefs, isn't it? That if you're more likely to then think that you're perhaps going to be cheated on again, and look for those signs then, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, kind of just encouraging people to be okay with the fact that they were hurt. Be okay with the fact that this horrible thing happened to them, and being cheated on is a traumatic thing. It changes you and your perspective, not only with your current partner and future partners, but even with your friendships, with your job, with your relationship with your food, because
Will
this
not
is
go into your self-worth as well, doesn't it?
yeah, because you essentially, I think the trust issue tends to be with your judgment, and that trust issue is internal. I picked wrong. I should have known. We all know the rhetoric for any of us who have been cheated on before, that it's, well, I should have known. I shouldn't have picked that person.
Yeah.
Why did I choose so poorly? Why would they do something like the narrative just, and then the spiral happens, and
Yeah.
you can't bring your past ex's garbage into your current relationship and put it on your partner, because that person may never ever betray you, ever.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty, isn't it? That again, we tend to do that, don't we, as humans? We bring our past into our future, and we create our own realities by bringing all of that crap and baggage with us. And obviously, a lot of it is done subconsciously. And again, sometimes we're not given the tools to go back and do this kind of work on ourselves. And you can do it by yourself, but it's not as easy as if you're doing it with a coach and, like, saying, that safe space and somebody talking to you about it. Because sometimes you can do some, do as much thought work, as much journaling, meditation as you want, but you can go around the same, like, until the cows come home, trying to just going around in a circle, whereas actually somebody can help you to just see it from a different perspective, can't they? And then that can unlock another piece for you, and another piece. And
you can move on to the next steps and parts of yourself, things you maybe haven't had a chance to explore because you've been so locked into this box of stuff that you've missed all of this.
Yeah.
And you know what, I bet even with food you notice this. People bring in their the eating habits from their childhood, from their
We have
families.
a relationship with food, just as we have a relationship with ourselves, with other human beings. At the end of the day, we can also bring forward, again, actually, family food histories and traumas. So again, we'll have certain beliefs that have been passed down generationally from some sort of the war. You imagine, like, the food and the restriction that was around there, and then we went in, and then there've been abundant times. And even myself, I'm an 80s child predominantly, so I tend to eat a lot of beige food because because beige food was more invented then, like ready meals and that kind of thing. And we had tuck shops and sweet shops, corner shops with sweets in that are still high up there, because that was the treat after school, to be able to go and do this, and
McDonald's days, oh my god.
yeah. And I've got a relationship with baked goods, because I had a lovely little nan who I'd go and go to after school. We would bake together, so again, if I'm feeling a bit low, I want baked goods, because that's kind of like the warm hug,
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. So, like, those types of activities or things that help give you that comfort with food they also happen with intimacy and with I don't want to use the word sexuality, but within your sex life as well, because you know what, I talk a lot about this little inner child, but you know what? I know when I was in my 20s and people were all talking about inner child in the early 2000s because it was like the thing, I thought everybody was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Now being in my 40s, I am able to be more open-minded and look back, and I'm like, that's why that thing comes up for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that got triggered for me.
Yeah.
That's why I don't feel da 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 da. Or when my husband does this thing, this is why I lose my absolute. It happens. We all sometimes lose our ever loving mind, and we remove ourselves from the situation, and we go and sit in our room, and we put the music on, and we have a moment with our pillow. I have a good discussion with it, but I've started now just going, instead of screaming into the pillow, putting my head down onto the pillow. Like within the last year, that's what I've been doing, is putting my head down on the pillow and just taking myself back. Okay, so where did this start?
Mm-hmm.
When is another part of my life that I felt like this? And what happened?
Yeah.
Because if you can go back and look, you can see kind of a pattern of, this is why these group of things trigger this, because this is where it started.
Mm-hmm.
The my father had abandoned us, and he went and moved on and got a new family. So da 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 da,
Mm-hmm.
as an example, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's one of those things. Like it's interesting how much all of these things in our life intersect.
Yeah.
Like what you do and what I do, they intersect with each other.
Yeah, no, very much so. And one of the things I'm conscious of time for everybody, as I did forewarn at the start, I could talk all day, but one of the things I think that was on my mind thinking about this topic as well was again our relationship with ourselves and our bodies, because I'm very much, as much as I want to help people lose weight, I want to help them to lose weight with love, and that includes being body positive and working on your body positivity all the way down in your journey as well, and because it's you've got to love yourself. You've got to love yourself first, and if you love yourself, everything else will fall into place. And that comes from, like you say, unpicking some of these pieces, little bits of the past, in a safe way to then come forward. And that's what we can help unlock as coaches, certainly with the belief coding, because that works a lot, like say, on the subconscious. So it is sort of tapping straight into the inner child, because it's tapping straight into the subconscious. But and it's fascinating what can cause those issues. So I had, for example, I've just stopped biting my nails. These are my nails. And
Oh God, I
people on the
did at
podcast,
one point, and then I went back. I
yeah,
did, and then I reverted.
but again, that happens, isn't it? And that for me, it was supposedly because I lost a doll when I was 3, and then poof, the compulsion just went. And some of the memories that I've kind of gone back to, tapping into it through this subconscious work, for things like, keeps taking me back to a memory that I had when I was a child, and I wanted to show this nest in front of the school, and my teacher went, "Oh, that's nice," and stuck it on the side. So many things seem to go back to that, but when you think about it, it's sort of, I think I must have been about 5 or 6, something like that. As an adult, you're kind of like, well, that means nothing. Why is this so important? But actually, my self-worth was clearly very hit, and I remember that I wanted to, I took it in with a purpose. I took it in because I wanted my classmates to like me, and I wanted this to happen. I wanted the teacher to like me, all the things that you would expect a little child to want to happen. And when that didn't happen, it clearly was quite a poignant memory. So it's surprising what you can unpick by, like say, doing the work and trying to go back and seeing what it is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a big massive thing. It can just be something teeny tiny that actually just makes the difference, that once you find that little nugget, it changes your beliefs on things.
Well, I can definitely feel how that would, I can definitely understand and relate and feel how much that would hurt, because you'd feel so unimportant in that moment. Something that when kids come and share something that they love, it's because they want to feel important and seen. And so I'm sorry that happened to you, because I'm like,
Oh,
I
bless
can.
you.
Well, no, I
As
can
an
feel.
adult, it's like, but that's nothing, you know. I don't exactly cry myself to sleep over it, but it did. It's impacted, like I say, clearly it knocked into worth and
Yeah.
actually being, you know, like say visibility. So you know, and friendships and different bits and bobs. So it's surprising what that then. I haven't done it based on intimacy or anything like that, but again, you know, like I say, who knows where that could have led to if it was that kind of thing.
Well, and you know what? It probably does, and you don't even realize it, because you, at
Yes.
that point, were told that you weren't important by the
Mm,
teacher, that you weren't worth being seen, you
mm-hmm,
weren't worth being heard.
mm-hmm.
And so I could see how that would maybe at some point bring in, when you're having conversations or deeper, intimate conversations with people, may choose not to share so much of yourself, because you might be like,
That
well,
would
but that's not important. They're not going to care.
yeah. And it's a funny thing, but then when you start to think about these things, so again, we were as kids, I don't know whether you had to do this in Canada, maybe you're a bit more refined, but like if you forgot your PE kit, you had to do your PE kit in your pants and vest. I mean, it'd be abuse nowadays, but you know, we had to sort of strip off from our clothes and do it in our pants and vest, you know. And I wasn't. I was one of the larger children at school, and so it set me off right from a young age with sort of body comparisons and that kind of thing. So again, when you look at my history, it's no wonder really that I struggled with food. When I go back and I see these little, you know, these say little experiences are quite a big experience, really. That like say you forget about, but actually you kind of think, well, yeah, it's no wonder really. You know, we're all sort of stood there all shy about our bodies kind of thing. So how's that going to knock in? That's going to knock into, well, I always say these things go one of three ways. You either take it negatively, neutrally, or positively.
Yeah.
So somebody might have been like strutting around like a peacock, look at me in my pants and vest, you know, but for me, it was a very negative experience. I was very self-conscious, I was subconscious, and I then had very low self-esteem all the way through, probably until, like say, my 40s, really, when I've started to do the inner work that we're talking about, and
Mm-hmm.
it's changed everything, you know. Whereas we weren't given those tools when we were little to deal with those.
No, we weren't. And I remember, I have a memory. I would have been probably in grade 8, yeah, and 7, 8, and I remember, I conversely was one of those really like skinny kids, like
Mm-hmm.
it, it was what it was. And on top of it being, you know, taller than average, like I'm 5'7", so I'm not exactly short. And I grew to be over 5 feet. Like I was one of the tallest girls in grade 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember vividly people teasing me when in health class we had learned about eating disorders and anorexia and bulimia and stuff. And I remember people teasing me saying, well, look at how skinny she is. She must not eat anything. She probably starves
Mm-hmm.
herself. And that's why she's so thin. I'm like, for me, I'm like, I haven't even gone and delved into the work about what that probably
Yeah.
internally did to me, because I'm like, that's it. It's probably why when I see people touting all of these meal plans at 1,200 calories, and I'm like,
Oh. Get
why
back
are
to
we
it.
promoting disordered eating? And it's
Yeah.
probably why I'm so viscerally angry about it, because like for me, I'm like, I got teased about it, and it's not a funny thing. Like it's I it took me a while to even be okay with not answering or responding when I'd see people posting stuff that would even trigger that for me, because I was like, this is not freaking funny. I never suffered from it, but I'm like,
But it's a trigger, and isn't it? And like
yeah, and
a
thinking
trigger
back
for
now, I
you.
know why.
Mm,
I didn't suffer from it, but I also I viscerally understood how devastating this would be
mm,
to people if they did suffer from this. And I'm like, you realize that eating disorders are not about the food.
mm. Yes. Yeah. And it's the
It's
same
not
with
about the food.
overeating as well, you know, whether
Yeah,
it be, because again, a
it's
lot of
not about the
women
food.
who
Yeah,
are of a
overeating's
larger
the same.
body, yeah, would perhaps describe that they feel addicted to food, you know, or that they've got food, you know,
It's because they
like a lot.
feel good when they eat the food. It
Yeah.
gives them like that dopamine hit. It makes them feel comforted and safe
Mm-hmm.
for the moment. after they're done, it no longer fulfills that need. And yeah, it's so, yeah, unlocking all of those little tidbits and secrets within ourselves is so important. And yeah, body positivity is so important, because you know what, there can be problems that you have in the bedroom because you don't feel comfortable in your own skin and how you look, that you even want your partner to see your body.
Absolutely. And again, that can be a person of any size as well, isn't it? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think body positivity, typically when it's thought of, I would have said most people would think, well, that's about, again, people who perhaps occupy a larger body, but it's not. You get people who occupy, like say, a more slender body, like the example that you gave when you were little, and you can be judged just as much, or you could be judged for being tall, or judged for being short, or whatever it is, isn't it? And it's, again, it's about what you've taken on in here, and what you've taken on in here, head and heart. So
absolutely. And hiring coaches like us who can help you navigate those little tidbits, because they bleed over to all of the places of your life, your job, and the fact that you won't speak up for yourself to go after that raise you deserved 5 years ago, right?
Absolutely.
Because you think you're going to be rejected, because that's the narrative that you have brought forward with you from past experiences. And or allowing that employee who works beside you to be I hate using the word Karen because I always feel so bad for all the Karens out there. But it's one of those things, like that person who just like mercilessly bullies you in the office, and you don't feel the confidence or the self-worth or the self-love to put up a boundary saying, no, I'm not accepting this, and if you don't stop, I'm going to HR. And it's so many things, like allowing your mother-in-law to treat you like crap. Sorry if you are a mother-in-law. Mother-in-laws are like that.
Mother-in-law called Karen.
Not all mother-in-laws are like that. I can attest. My mother-in-law.
You just double worried them.
My mother-in-law is awesome, and I don't say that just because she really is awesome. My kids are with her right now, but or your mom who likes to pick at you and make jokes about the clothes you wear, or how your clothes fit, or what you're eating.
Like, yeah, this goes on, doesn't it? It's just all the people that can influence, the people, the situations, and then ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Or even in our businesses, not feeling comfortable charging what we're worth. Not feeling comfortable to put up boundaries with people, saying, hey, you got a 1 hour boxer with me. I'm not doing 2 hours with you unless you want to pay for an additional hour. And absolutely, I will. But I'm not going to work for free because I'm worth it. In all of these different places, I'm going to choose to nourish my body with food that makes me feel good and actually helps my muscles stay strong and my bones stay strong and my teeth look beautiful and my skin, rather than choosing food that I hate using the word bad, because there isn't really bad food. That's just a narrative we write in our head.
I tend to steer clear of bad and good as well. But it's like I say, it's a very common narrative that's used, isn't it? But again, it is that narrative that you have to watch out for, because and it's a bit like treat food. I ban the word treat food as well, because as soon as you put it on a pedestal, again, it's saying you can't have something when absolutely you can. I mean, I'm an intuitive eater. That's what I teach, is intuitive eating. So you can have whatever you want. And the principles behind that is about soft nutrition. So, like you say, trying to find foods that work for you, but conversely, you could be allergic to strawberries, so you don't eat strawberries, so it's one of those things where you have to find out about you, and again, what you like, what you don't like, your patterns, your triggers. Exactly the same as sex.
It's same thing. And it's why I said I really loved, and why Sue Johansson inspired me so very, very, very long ago. And for everybody out there, if nobody knows who Sue Johansson is,
she's on YouTube.
Please go to YouTube, look her up. She was on the Conan show at some point, and Tom Selleck was on there with her. and it is the most hilarious thing you will ever watch. It's, I think, 5, maybe 10 minutes at max. But I'm like, if you need a laugh for the day, you just
Go and have a look at that.
you're just gonna have so much fun, because here's this like little like grandma showing up with her bag of sex toys.
In front of Tom Selleck of all people.
Well, and Big Show from WWE. So it's like, and of course she has to go in and talk about size with 3 men, and oh my god, it just like the whole thing is just, it's absolutely hilarious, because we all know how some men can be about size and importance of we'll put it that way.
Again, that's got to be important for what you do if you're working with a man, because again, it's what's been told, it's what's the like the jokes and the media, isn't it? You know, and then it's one of those where all of a sudden we're again being self-deprecating about ourselves before somebody else can get in there, you know, and joking about that, or even like, you know, even like things like size of your feet, size of your hands, whatever, you know, and it's just like all this crap that we all have to deal with from wherever it's come from.
Well, and the funny thing is that it starts creating this narrative for men that the only important part of them is that one part.
Yeah.
And that's the only part of them that can give their partner pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's their narrative in their head. The only thing that they have to bring to the table is that part of their body. The rest of them doesn't matter. And that whole narrative causes a whole bunch of other garbage to happen in their lives, because it's not true. And on top of it, men then get told the narrative that that's the only part of their body that they can feel pleasure with as well. And that's totally a fallacy of epic proportions. And so, yeah, society's garbage, because there's no other word for it. Society's garbage, and the media's garbage. Like it's time to change that. Like these the stuff that we're teaching our kids, ourselves, like our parents, even as they age, like it's time to just throw out the book and let's start a new one, because the stuff that we've been teaching is so wrong. Like and that's why I think the most important thing for all people, and it doesn't matter if it's a weight loss journey, an intimacy journey, a sex journey, a business journey, the first thing you need to do is sit down with yourself and figure that out. and it's a work in progress forever. Like that. Yes, you're not going to figure it all out in one meditation.
Well, yeah, accepting that is part of the journey is actually what it's about, not the end result. And exactly. Because I think that's where we all get stuck in we all get stuck in the results line sometimes. Again, whether it's weight loss, wanting to get to goal, business, completing in a sexual fashion, or whatever it might be, you know, sometimes again the journey is what's the important part. The journey is where you learn, the journey is where you connect, the journey is where you grow and develop as a person.
The journey is where the pleasure is.
Yeah
That's like when you look back on even like a vacation, it's the journey of all of the little things that you did that make that vacation so special, not I went there.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's all the little things that you do along the way. And that's, it's one of those, it's definitely, it's important that people realize that we are work in progress for our whole entire lives. And the things that we liked in our 20s aren't going to translate in our 30s or our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, all the way up. And that it's important to check in with yourself all the time and be like, do I still like doing this thing? Is this pleasurable? Is this enjoyable? If you hate salads, why are you sitting there eating salads? You can eat vegetables in so many other fashions. If you hate salads, stop doing it just because the Kardashians do.
Somebody said we've got to eat salad. Yeah. Well, I lost 70 pounds and I hardly ate any salad.
Well, because if it's not something you enjoy, you're not going to eat it. That's exactly the thing. That's why I said, if you
find things you like. Yeah, and I love that. That's exactly what I teach. Is like, say, if you want tacos, then you find a way to eat tacos that means you can still do what you want to do, you know, or maybe you do trade in a salad a couple of times a week so that you can have the tacos, whatever it might be, you know.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
do it with love. Again, on both of our sports,
Compassion with yourself and yeah, love for yourself, because really in the grand scheme of things, that's what it boils down to. All of what me and you do is all about self-love and self-acceptance and finding that pleasure again
Yeah,
within
finding our joy.
ourselves for all of our lives and all parts of our lives. Actually, this reminds me of Eat, Pray, Love, this whole conversation. When you think about it, like, now that we're doing movie things, we went
I've
to
never actually seen it,
Italy.
actually. I know of the film, but I've never actually seen it. Maybe I'll go watch it now, as well as this the Sue Johansson that you suggested.
Oh my gosh, you'll have so much fun watching it, and it's not very long, and you'll probably watch it and then you're gonna be like, okay, I have to see more. And you'll see why she was so inspirational, because at the time she started doing this, like, there was no one really doing it. Like, she had started in Canada, and eventually they had allowed the show to be shown in the States with a bunch of exception, because you know, the States will show all of the gun violence, but talk about sex and there's a problem.
I was thinking, could I stick a big warning on this somewhere? But there we go. It is what it is. Whether we got shut down, I don't know, but we'll see.
Well, if you could put even just one of those warnings under the bottom that we.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can make it viewable for only 18 and older, but then we never talked about anything very explicit either. So
no, I'm sure.
I'm like, we didn't talk about anything you couldn't figure out if you were 13 or hadn't heard in school, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, it's the journey within yourself, I think, is the most important journey, and doing that with a coach definitely is very helpful, because you know what? I love doing mirror work, especially with body positivity stuff. Telling yourself awesome things in the mirror can be one of the hardest things to do ever. And having a coach there who can support you when you have one of those days where you can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's just like mentally, emotionally, you can't. I literally took a lipstick that I will never wear, because brown lipstick's not my color. And I wrote on my window, on my mirror in my bathroom one day in lipstick, because I was feeling really defeated and fearful and stuff. And I wrote on my mirror that I am brave. So I just wrote "I am brave" in the corner of my mirror. It's still there. I haven't erased it. My daughter's like, I wish I had that on my mirror. I'm like, well, we can find a lipstick that mommy won't wear, and we'll write it on yours if you want. We can write whatever you want on it. And I think the thing is that had I tried to do this 6 months or even a year ago, I would have been it would have terrified me, because I have to be seen. And there's one of my childhood triggers right there, being seen. And so I like, if I keep telling myself that I am brave, then even in the moments where I don't feel brave, I can still be brave.
Absolutely.
Right?
And grow from it, you will as well. So that's amazing.
So as a tip for people, if you need if you struggle with doing daily mantras, write it on your mirror. And you have no choice. You will read it to yourself multiple times a day as you brush your teeth, as you wash your face, you do your makeup. And it'll just eventually internalize, and you can change it to different words on a regular basis then. Things that you want to remind yourself. I am strong.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Powerful, right?
Great tip. Yeah. Okay, I think we probably should let everybody go.
Yeah, we'll do part 2 with the more explicit stuff.
Well, you would be more than welcome to come into the membership as well, where it's a little bit more of a different space to be able to share things. Maybe at some point in the future as well. So we can talk about that another day. But
absolutely.
Yeah. thank you ever so much for coming on the show today, Tiffany. And like I said, watch out for the description box and comments coming up on the videos. I'll make sure that I'll drop Tiffany's links in the coming days, so keep checking back for it. And other than that, we will both love you and leave you. And obviously, if you want to chat to any of us, you know where we are. And we'll see you all again, won't we?
Absolutely. And if you guys have any questions, tag me and drop it in the comments, and I'll go in there and try and answer them as best I can for you guys.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Tiffany.
Have a wonderful rest of your evening. I was just about to say day, but
yes, thank you. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, if you want to boost your life and weight loss the AAA way, check out the relevant links for today's show in the description. Speak soon.